right, well, here we are again. Welcome, everybody. This is ArmChair GM on the Talking Jets channel here on YouTube. I am GreenBean, and that right there is my goodest of friends, Mr. Tigo. How you doing tonight, Tigo?
Doing great. I'm excited for this show. Since last we spoke, everything has changed. Doom and gloom has turned into sunshine. And the rain is gone, and I can see clearly now everything is magical and wonderful in Jets land.
It really is funny. The only doom and gloom, not even doom and gloom, the only like angst I see right now is there's a contingent of people now mad at the Jets fans who were mad at Joe Douglas for the first 48. And out of you better apologize. And then in response to that, there's people saying, hey, we still didn't win anything, so now we just love to argue, I think.
What happened was all of the anger that was addressed at Joe Douglas and the Jets has now been just retaken aim at each other. So it's just fan on fan fighting. And I think the only person who's outside of all of this right now is, I don't think anybody's mad at NYJ Matt. I think everybody's cool with him. But other than that, everybody's got something to go fight another Jets fan on.
Yeah, and if you don't know, everybody, we had really, I say, one of the coolest fan to Jets to free agent things I've ever seen. I think it might take the cake up to this point. We've had fans in the bushes filming people coming in. We've had stalkers outside in California when Woody and Joe Douglas were going to meet Aaron Rodgers. We have all kinds of stuff like
tracking
that.
Flight data.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're definitely we're not sit on our hands kind of people, us Jets fans. But what NYJ Matt, a friend of the channel, and we had him and Mike on the draft stream last year. But dude, NYJ Matt of Twitter fame, and what he's done is really, it pushes the limits of everything that we've ever seen as far as fan. Now, I wonder if it was you, Tigo, or me, if we sent a sandwich to there, if it would have had the same results. I think the Jets trust Matt. He has a level of trust.
He's been in the building.
He's been in the building. Now, I've been in the building, but they didn't know I was there. So I was different. I was sneaking around and shit, creepy crawly. But what happened, everybody, if you don't know, is Mike Williams was coming to town, the wide receiver of San Diego and Los Angeles Charger fame, was visiting the Jets for a free agent visit. And NYJ Matt took it upon himself to have a Jersey delicacy, a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich delivered via DoorDash to the Jets facility for Mike
Williams.
Mike Williams, right. And the Jets, knowing it came from NYJ Matt, took it. And when Mike Williams came, they gave it to him. And he said, am I supposed to eat this? And they said, yeah, if you want, take it to try it. And he tried it. He actually ate the damn sandwich. And then he went to see the Nets later that night. And he showed everybody the bag.
No, they brought him another one.
Oh, that was a different one?
Yeah, so what happened is NYJ Matt ordered the sandwich, and it got there way too early. So what the Jets social media team did is they ordered another sandwich and had it delivered, and they just swapped the sandwich that was in the bag out for the new warm one. Because once that Taylor ham freezes up, that might as well be used as an eraser.
Well, it's a different experience, right? It's different. Not that I won't eat it, Tigo.
You'd find me hard pressed to eat it once it's gone cold. That being said, he took a bite, asked all that stuff, and then they took the picture of it and made it their profile picture on Twitter, which I think was just magnificent. That's just perfect. And then when he got to the Nets game, he went there later that night. They said, hey, we saw you didn't finish the sandwich, so here's another one.
That's amazing. So, this has become kind of a thing. Like Tigo just said, the Jets, their Twitter avatar was the bag, and it was the sandwich. It was the
sandwich and the wrapper.
Yeah, with the bite taken out of it, I think. So what a cool thing, because anybody from New Jersey or even New York knows, Taylor ham is one of those things. I can get it here now. There's one store here that sells it, and it's spreading. It's down there in Florida, right? But
we have one. It's two brothers that came down from New York, and it's hilarious because they don't call it like they call it like a Taylor ham, egg and cheese like sandwich, but because like no one knew what that meant down here, like really, they renamed the sandwich to the Great New Jersey Debate.
Oh,
and
nice.
so when you go online, you can it says Taylor ham / pork roll, just so no one can get confused.
Yeah.
And funny. When I went there to order it, and I said, "Hey, it's called Taylor ham," and it's like, "We know you. Who you talking to? Like, we know it's the Taylor ham, but we sold more down here once people figured out what it was." I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, it's there was one place when I was in South Florida. There was one place in Pompano Beach, Florida. It was a famous donut place. They had like one of those places with the big crazy donuts. And they had it, and it was the New Jersey breakfast sandwich. That's what they called it. And it was, Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. But yeah, so Tigo, if I remember correctly, you told me you had a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese in honor of this situation this morning.
Because the only place that did it, I didn't live in this part of town where I live in now. So the only place that did like New York style and New Jersey style like sandwiches was normally like 45 minutes away, and I would have to have a reason to be on this side of town. And if I would get a sandwich. Well, now it's 10 minutes from me. So this morning, before the kids like got up and started terrorizing everything, I just went and got one.
I love it. I gotta say, I wish I did the same. I'm slightly envious. I feel like I missed the boat. I should have had one today too, man. I really do. So anyway, it's such a great thing, and we'll talk about Mike Williams in just a second. I want to say hello to you guys. Up top, Dakota came first, talking about Big Mike Williams. Right on, Dakota. Good to have you, buddy. Aunt Jets is here. Good evening. Hope everyone well. We hope you're doing well, Aunt Jets. Curly Norman is here. Our buddy Harry's in the house. And by the way, Harry's a beanbagger. We'll be hanging out tonight at 9 p.m. Harry, we're going to compare Brock Bowers to the other top offensive weapons in the draft. See if this is a viable conversation to have. Well, Brock Bowers versus the Odunzes and the Neighbors and the Brian Thomases of the world. And we'll even maybe throw in Harrison as well, just because there's rumors of the Jets trading up. We might talk about that a little bit later too. Snowball is here. Good to have you, Snowball. Bryant's in the house. Dave from New Brunswick. Good to see you. Italian Eddie / Ralph. I don't know what that means, Italian Eddie Ralph. I don't know if that's two of you or if that's your first and middle name. Maybe he's first and last name, Eddie Ralph. How you doing, Mr. Ralph? First name Eddie. I don't know. Jimmy Jets is here. Karanzan is here. New York Jets super fan is here, man. That's right, dude. Most exciting show. Yeah, I like that. Wow, look at that. Who else is here? We did it. Tony's here. Tony the GM. Chemistry and continuity. Wouldn't it be amazing if this is the beginning of some continuity for the Jets? We've managed it on defense. On offense, we haven't yet found any, So, I mean, we're going into the third year with guys like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Tippmann going into his second. ABT's been here a minute. But, man, it would be nice to have an offensive line that's together. Not even years.
Can we get
10
more
weeks?
than 3 games?
Yeah.
I'm starting low. Can we get 3 games? Just 3 games.
Three games of the same guys
at 5.
the same positions. That's the trick.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even going to set the bar that high. You want to flip-flop those 5 guys around? You want to put AVT at left guard, John Simpson at right guard, and then put Tippmann at tackle and Morgan Moses at center? I don't care. Just give me the same 5 guys for 3 weeks. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. It does concern me. I want to see AVT just stay put. I don't care. If it looks like right guard right about now, good. Stay at right guard and do that. Infrared's here. Aaron Gertz reminding everybody to hit those milk thumbs, everybody. Don't forget to smash the like button for us. If you have not subscribed to the Talkin' Jets channel, it is a great thing to do, and we sincerely appreciate it. The channel is growing. We're grateful and thankful for that, but there are so many. We're still at, I think, 30% of our viewers are subscribed. So 70% of the viewers of the channel still just hanging around going, I'm not ready to hit that button. You haven't proven yourselves to me. And so they're holding off. If tonight's the night, that would be great. Nick Shine in the house, proud New York Jets fan. Tigo tracking the flight data.
Yeah, I was minute by minute updating the group chat. Once that was posted on Twitter, I was like, guys, they're over Colorado right now.
Yeah. Matt O'Leary says, if Jeremy sent them food, immediately in the trash. Oh, they're like, that's that guy that was stalking Ulbrich, telling me he loves him, expressing his love for him and everything.
And then found Lieb in New York and did the same thing.
Lieb Schreiber. Dude, it's the craziest thing. And he's like, hey, what do you think of the wide receiver? He's like,
dude, I don't watch football.
What are you talking about? I get paid to be the voice of Hard Knocks.
Dude, I read a script.
Yeah, I read a script, everybody. But Jeremy, I'd say you got to love Jeremy. Kevin Callahan's here. I'd love to have a Clowney update. We'll talk a little bit about Clowney. But I don't know if we have an update per se. Maybe right during the show.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we'll see real quick, Jerry. And then the first thing I'll ask you is about Clowney. The real GM is here and everyone is fired. You NJ Matt 2 for bringing that bum Mike Williams. All right. Well, there you go. Mo doesn't like it. He doesn't like it because he's a Patriots fan. And it's okay. It's okay, Mo. Aaron Daniels in the house. Good to see Aaron.
I love the logo, Aaron.
What is that? I can't see.
So Athletic Logos made a shirt in partnership with NYJ Matt for the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich for the win with the bag.
Oh, that's really good. I like it. You know what it looked like to me? It looked like a strawberry shortcake. I don't know why. I can't see, Tigo, with my old eyes. So, all right, I see a super chat in the house. That's from Crossfire, our good buddy. What's up, Crossfire? Richie's AFC roundtable was a half hour late to their live. Thank you for always being on time. Well, you know what? We were 2 minutes late, Crossfire.
But even that, when you don't have to deal with Miami Dolphins fans and people in Canada, that's like a different time zone, and it's like a whole different thing, and it's hard to deal with, two different, like you got 3 different countries going on in a conversation. Got to make sure that the people from Cuba have enough time to make it happen. The Canadians have enough time to get inside. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. So, well, look, we, glad that we could make you happy though, Crossfire. That's the most important thing. Mark Riz saying Taylor makes it, but the meat is called pork roll. He's yelling. Do you order a soubrette or a Nathan's, or do you order a hot dog? Well, do you ask for a Q-tip or a cotton swab? Do you ask, and let's keep it.
Do you ask for a facial? What is it? Do you ask for a Kleenex or a facial tissue?
Right. Or let's keep it right in Johnson Johnson wheelhouse. That's our owner. We're all Johnson & Johnson here.
Adhesive band or
Band-Aid, or do you ask for a elastic bandage? I'll have an
adhesive bandage, right?
You ask for a Band-Aid. If they give you a Curade, a Curad, whatever the hell you don't go, oh, that's not what I asked for. You go, all right, it's fine. That's what I mean. Yeah, a fucking Band-Aid. Now, I get it. Okay, nobody's really right in this situation except the people that call it Taylor Ham, of course. Mark.
Absolutely.
Eric Craig, we have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver. But let's start this thing. So, real quick, Tigo, do you want to see the Jets sign Jadeveon Clowney? Is there a limit? Like, I want him, but only at this number, or do you get this guy out of here? I don't want him.
Yeah. I would like Jadeveon Clowney. We have a need at edge, right? There is a need there. We lost one and we haven't replaced him. And I want to take the temptation away from the New York Jets from possibly taking one at 10. I know they're going to fall in love with Dallas Turner and Jared Verse, and for good reasons. And I want to do everything in our power to make sure they can't pull the trigger and say yeah, let's go get those guys. But I would go very much into the conversation of I don't know if a team would offer him a 2-year deal. So I'm curious to see if that would convince him to stay at a lower number. If we did a 2-year deal with more guaranteed money, All I know is that my max is in and around the $8 or $9 million. If he wants more, I would let him walk, but I would definitely say, you know what? I would look at I think we should bring him in, plain and simple.
I think we should do
going
it
in a million different directions, got a million different things going on. I think we should bring him in. I think he had a great year, and I think it would free up first and second downs possibly for JFM to, I don't like this, but I know a lot of the fan base does, play a little bit more inside.
Yeah.
He shouldn't, except for NASCAR packages. But
I think he should. I think JFM is a complete fail at setting the edge. He gets sucked inside far too often for me. I think on the inside, JFM is quick. Like, he's like slippery. On the outside, he just doesn't have the bend. And he can't, like, you would think of a guy doesn't have the bend on the outside. What you really want them to be able to do is kind of stiffen up and hold that edge. He kind of doesn't do either very well, but on the inside, not that he doesn't have some success out there, he does, but for his traits on the inside, I prefer. I understand what you're saying, but anyway, yeah, but I'll tell you what your most valid point there from my perspective was, if it cools the Jets from even considering taking a friggin' edge rusher in the first round, then I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm all for it. We could use the guy. He's a very solid football player.
Yeah,
had a very, very good year last year. And I think you don't have to question so much whether or not he would have success in our defense. It's not like you take a guy who's having success somewhere else and bring him over here to kind of save you. He's just another guy to roll into our rotation that I think would do very, very well. I'm actually a fan of it as well. I got to say, I'm hoping that they do it too. Not so much name recognition, just, again, what the player brings. And like Tigo said, no edge in the first round this year. Jason Edwards checking in with his member super chat. Thank you for being so supportive, Jason. You're the best. Is a trade for T. Higgins plausible? If so, what would it look like? Well, now that Mike Williams is here, I would say significantly less plausible. But what do you think, Tigo? You think that's still on the table? What would it take?
I don't see the Jets trading for an asset and then also having to pay for that asset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I don't see, because the conversation for the Bengals starts with 10, and that's where I hang up the phone. And even if it's like a package, they get 10, we get 18, and whatever kind of a thing goes on that way, you're still looking at bringing him in and giving him $25+ million a year. Right. And I'm not saying that he's not worth that money. It's just, I would rather just take 10 and like 72 and go to 5 and go get Marvin Harrison, or like stick at 10 and get Rome Odunze, or, you know what I mean? I think that there are other ways. I'm not saying that we should be anywhere near done fixing the wide receiver room, and we'll talk about that later, but like trading for an asset is, I think, kind of off the mark at this point, with how much money we spent with Tyron Smith and Mike Williams and Jadeveon Clowney possibly, and we're probably going to get another running back, and we still got holes that we need to fill, and I don't want to tie up a bunch of that money on a player that we just traded a big asset for.
Yeah. Not that I wouldn't like to have him, of course, but Snowball,
I'm not anti the player. I'm anti the cost to get the player.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with Ayuk too. It's like it's going to be an expensive trade package, but then on top of that, you got to pay him near $30 million.
Yep.
So it's like, can we really do such a thing? Snowball, do you really think I haven't had a bacon, egg, and cheese with salt, pepper, and ketchup in my life, buddy? Come on, man. Stick to it. This Taylor ham is just better, and it's my preferred. It's more unique. I can get bacon anywhere. You can go to, you can go to, Europe and go, can I have bacon, eggs, and cheese on a whatever roll? They'll go, yeah, sure. You go Taylor ham, they're not going to know what you're talking about. It's very specific. It's a specific thing. I tell you the story, Tigo, when I went to California for the first time, Los Angeles, I was filming a pilot for Comedy Central. And my first ever breakfast, I flew there. I woke up the next day. I went to Melrose Avenue, And I went to this little place and I sat down and I said, can I, I'm like 26 years old at the time. I said, can I get a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese? And they were like, what? And I said, oh, right. Sorry. Pork roll, egg, and cheese. And the lady goes, all right, sure. She seemed like she understood. She wrote it down. They showed up at my table 10 minutes later with a fucking pork chop. An actual center cut pork chop. Eggs and cheese on a bagel or whatever. And I was like, what the hell? That's what you asked for. I said, all right. And I ate it. It was one of the best damn things I ever had. It was fucking delicious.
It's funny because I moved out from up north really young. So I didn't get to like do the whole like Taylor ham, egg, and cheese until much, much later in life. And I had a very similar experience. But when I ordered it down here, I got just a ham, egg, and cheese on a croissant.
Ooh, that's good too.
Hey, it was excellent. I loved it, but it's just like, this is not what I ordered. I'm not mad at it, but like, this is not what I ordered.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, I love sausage, egg, and cheese too, Snowball. I love it. Taylor ham's just different, buddy. Now the next question, Snowball, have you ever had it? Have you ever had Taylor ham? It's funny because a lot of New Yorkers will tell me, there ain't no bacon, egg, and cheese. And I say, well, have you had Taylor ham? And a lot of times they go, no. I'm like, well, what the fuck do you know?
How do you know? Yeah.
How do you know?
Look, bacon is the goat, but like it's you don't gotta like.
It's unique. It has a very specific flavor to it, and that's what it's like. Canadian bacon. It's like it's how Canadian bacon's just different. You know what I mean?
It's ham, but different.
It's different, right? Let's talk about Mike Williams. We have this new wide receiver, Tigo. The big signing of the week, we had kind of a nice splashy end to last week with Tyron Smith capping a week where we saw the Jets trade for Morgan Moses. We brought in John Simpson. We brought in Tyrod Taylor to back up the quarterback. We saw Javon Kinlaw. We saw Leaky Fatu. We saw who else? We re-signed Yeboah and Zerline and Morstead. And we saw Isaiah Oliver brought in and all these guys.
I can't remember the guard that we brought back.
Oh, yeah, Jake Hansen.
Jake Hansen.
Who I like to call Phil Hansen for some reason. I don't know what that is. But yeah, so this week it's Wednesday, and really the guy that we focused on and brought in is Mike Williams. So are you in favor of this move? How do you see it? You think the money's right outside of the joy of seeing the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese situation? Is this the right guy?
I think so. I think when you looked at the wide receiver market, there wasn't a ton of names that really screamed out at you. It was good to hear that the New York Jets were in on Jerry Jeudy because that was a name that I was interested in, right? And then you saw the contract that he got and you're like, damn, I'm really glad we didn't go that way. And then you keep hearing these things of the New York Jets were interested in Keenan Allen and just like, oh, like they were a part of the conversation and he just chose to go somewhere else. He wanted to go to the Bears and okay, it makes sense. He's going to get paid to go to the Bears because they have all of the cap space in the world, so they can overpay for him. And the New York Jets aren't in that spot. And so you get these different like conversations that you keep hearing, and it's just like, hey, this is a lot of really good. There aren't a ton of really good options in the wide receiver market because none of the guys that anybody ever talked about made it. And that's the whole thing. That was one of my talking points before the whole thing is like people kept talking about, oh, the strength of free agency is in the wide receiver class. I was like, it really isn't because none of those guys are going to sneak through. Michael Pittman didn't get out. Mike Evans didn't get out. T. Higgins didn't get out. Like none of those guys made it out. And then some names came up that we didn't expect, like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They're both gone. But I think that I would love to see the details of the contract because I would hope that it's not just like $12 million guaranteed and then like $3 million on incentive. I would hope that it's heavily incentive based, especially since he's missed a ton of time. But this is a great signing. It doesn't change my draft strategy. It doesn't change the way that I think we could continue to approach free agency. But we definitely needed a wide receiver. And Mike Williams, when he's on the field, is one of the better ones in the NFL. So, yeah, it's a good signing.
Yeah, and I'll close the poll. We put a poll up there earlier. If the chat thinks so, whether or not Mike Williams is the right number 2 or a good number 2 option for the Jets. 93% of you guys said yes. Now I'll put something up here real quick if we got a chance. But Snowball, you're not answering the question. I hear you that Bacon is goated. Matt O'Leary agrees that nothing's better than Bacon, and that's a wide scope because Bacon can be wrapped around dates. Bacon can be chopped up and thrown in all kinds of salads and cobs. So yes, it's very versatile. And I wouldn't want Taylor ham in my Cobb salad, to be quite frank. So, but have you had a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese, Snowball? That's the question. But let me share this.
I'm dodging it.
Yeah, don't just talk about, bacon. Of course, everybody, bacon's king, but we're talking about a very specific thing here. So let me show you guys. So here's the thing. I don't dislike the Mike Williams move. I want you to know. And if he was the guy that we could get out of the batch, then I'm totally fine with it. I think he was in the conversation anyway. But I preferred Tyler Boyd, Tigo. People talk, because you want, you're middling or you're a settler. I don't get it. And then when you look at the guys next to each other, obviously Mike Williams is a little bit bigger. 7 seasons, 309 receptions for 4,800 yards, 31 touchdowns, 15.6 yards per reception. 218 of those receptions went for first downs. 2,000-yard seasons. He had 2 full seasons. Now, to be fair, he had a couple seasons where he only missed 1 game, too. So that's not necessarily a concern unless you start adding it all together, right? So last year he played 3 games and he missed 18 games over the past 2 years. Where Tyler Boyd, no slouch himself, 6'2", no small guy, 6'2", 203, 8 seasons, 513 receptions. So look, in one more season, he has, 200 plus reception, and 1,200 yards, plus the same touchdowns, 11.7 yards per reception, 302 first downs, 2,000-yard seasons. Full seasons 5 times, plus 17 games in 2023. So do you think I'm off here? I would have preferred Tyler Boyd. Not that if on the field head-to-head, I will concede that Mike Williams is a better wide receiver, a little more dynamic. Obviously, the stat of, him, the highest percentage when, past 30 yards or whatever it might be. So he's a dynamic player, exciting player. He's very close to what you could call a number 1 wide receiver, honestly. But Tyler Boyd, I feel like, is more consistent and would have been my preferred choice. Do you disagree with that? Would you still have chosen Mike Williams if they were both right there for the taking?
Yes. I think Mike Williams, the on-field product, is better with Mike Williams, because all it would take to catch up to Tyler Boyd in terms of just straight up just yardage, right, is last year. If he plays last year and he keeps those same stats, the yards per reception and all of that stuff, he surpasses Tyler Boyd. They would both have 8 seasons. Like, not even 8 seasons, but he would have 7 seasons still. But it would be this season. It would be 128 receptions. And that's not, or it would be 2 seasons, let's say, right? If you gave him that extra season and he was healthy last year, he would have had the 6,000 yards in,
It's hard to say that. It's hard to say that because.
But just if you extrapolate that data out, right? Let's just say you got to extrapolate the information that you have from him right now in 1 less season. If you were to extrapolate that data out, and just, again, this is assuming health, and you get really dangerous when you start assuming health, right? But Mike Williams has 31 touchdowns in 200 less receptions. He has he's behind 1,200 yards in 1 less season with far, far fewer targets when you're looking at it. It's 200 less targets, but it's only 1,200 yards less. And so when you take all of those things into consideration, I think Mike Williams' on-field product is better than what Tyler Boyd is. And if you're telling me to pick between one of the two, I would pick Mike Williams 9 times out of 10. The only other time is if you're scared of the injury. I'm not, And the reason I'm not is because of Garrett Wilson. That changes if Garrett Wilson isn't on the team, because then I want the consistency. I'm willing to take a risk on a guy who might have an injury history because I know my number one is solid, if that makes sense.
No, I get it. And, it's hard to say, though, that he would have 1,200 yards because he didn't have 1,200. He only had 1,000 yards plus twice in 7 seasons. So it's hard to just assume that. Now, 2 years ago, he had 1,100 yards plus. So it's hard to say now, but either way, it would be in the neighborhood, right? It would be in the same neighborhood.
But he got 1,100 yards, just to counter that real quick, in a season where he played every game.
Correct.
Right? And in 2022, he had 900 yards, right? But he missed time. It would be very safe to assume that if he didn't miss those 4 or 5 games, I believe, it's very easy to assume that he would have gotten 105 yards.
Yeah,
it's not that big of a stretch.
Not that easy because he only got 70 plus receptions once in his entire career. Or no, twice in his entire career, but once in the previous 6 years. He only had 70 plus receptions and that 1,100 yards. I mean, the other 1,000-yard season was in 2019. So, I mean, again, I'm not trying to beat the semantics of it, but it's like when you look at it and the injuries are real, 18 games in 2 years obviously is going to impact the numbers. But even if you added those, they're only still in the same neighborhood. Even if he was to tick upward, really where he's got them is the touchdowns per reception, right? That's clearly in his favor. And then the yards per reception is clearly in his favor. But Tyler Boyd, as a consummate number 2 and even number 3 wide receiver, is utilized a lot. You can evidence by the amount of first downs that he has. And as that guy, when it's 3rd and 5, they just kind of toss it over to him when Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are covered, and he's that reliable target. So I don't know, man. I did put it in the poll for everybody. Again, not that I'm unhappy, but I must say, just like Tigo said, 9 times out of 10, he's going Williams. I would say 8 times out of 10, I'm going Tyler Boyd. And it's, again, like what are we looking for? We're looking for a guy that we have a good indication that is going to make it through the season. You could argue a little bit less talented, but reliable. Now reliable as far as his hands. Mike Williams also has 1 drop in the last 2 years or some crazy shit like that. It's really an impressive stat.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Again, I just think the on-field talent. I think Mike Williams is head and shoulders better than Tyler Boyd. And the only thing that Tyler Boyd has is availability. And that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. But I think the on-field talent goes to Mike Williams.
Yeah. Now, look, we'll go from this. We'll get that off here. I'll leave the poll up there for another minute or so. But we'll go from this. And, we're talking about the Mike Williams thing. I think, again, if he didn't have the injuries, I'm not so sure the conversation is equally as valid, right? Mike Williams is a better wide receiver. He's also 6'4". He's a bigger, stronger wide receiver. The high pointing is more pronounced. With
the
Mike
X.
Williams. What's that? Can
play the X and the Z more consistently.
Right. Tyler Boyd can play, the X as well. He's been playing, he's been playing the flanker, as my generation likes to call it, Tigo. But he's, he was an outside wide receiver playing every single role as well. X, Y, Z.
Not really. He's 80% of his career in the slot.
Yeah. But when he was behind AJ Green, he played outside. And then there was the one in between year, I think, I forget exactly how it broke down, but there was the 1 year that he ended up playing significantly more outside. So he can do it.
Yeah. He
can do it.
Yeah, the years that he played more outside are the years that he had the 1,000 yards receiving. But he's an 80% career slot guy.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. We got the injury. So we'll go right from Mike Williams' injury. Again, 18 missed games in the last 2 years, 14 of them being last year, 4 games the year before. But are the injuries a concern with this free agent class? We're all excited. We're excited. We wanted to see some moves. We had some names on our lists. I think Tyron Smith was on a lot of our lists. Javon Kinlaw was on my list for the defensive side of the ball. Now, again, maybe I would have preferred Tyler Boyd, but I'm not unhappy with Mike Williams. But when you look at this group, again, Mike Williams, 18 games the last couple years. Tyron Smith missed 4 games last year. He only played 4 games in 2022. He missed 6 games in 2021. He only played 2 games in 2020. So I didn't do the math, but that's more than 18. That's a lot of games. But let's just say the last 2 years, he missed 17 minus? That's 13 plus 4. So that's another 17 games. So you have 17 missed games the last 2 years. Mike Williams, 18 games the last 2 years. Javon Kinlaw is another one. And we'll also talk about our backup quarterback, who's known for maybe holding the ball just a second or two too long, maybe a little bit risk or two he shouldn't take, and he gets hurt as well. So, Javon Kinlaw only played 6 games in 2022. He did play 17 last year, which is the positive, right? So you want to make the case he's on the upswing. He played 14 his rookie year. He played 4 his sophomore year. In 2022, his third year, he played 6. And last year, he played 17. But again, the last 2 years, he missed 11 games. You know what I mean? Now, what about Tyrod Taylor? It's hard to say because he's playing backup, but and then you obviously you add the Morgan Moses piece. He's looking like he's going to have shoulder surgery.
Already had it.
He already had it. Okay,
already had it 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
Really? How come I didn't know that? What
I saw a report today saying that he tore his pec week 4 of the season, played the entire year on it, every game. He didn't miss a game, and then had his pec surgically repaired 6 weeks ago, and that he should be good to go for training camp.
Well, there you go. Should be good to go. But again, and he's been an Iron Man of sorts, but again, shoulder surgery. So he comes in here with an injury. Tyrod Taylor played 11 games last year and was available 3 games the year prior. So he missed 6 a lot. So that's what is that? 14 plus 6.
Remember, he's a backup. It's hard to find out what he's missed games and what games he was available for. And
yeah,
that's always a weird one with backups.
It is, but it looks like he was available 3 games in 2022. So and then again, you have I don't think Simpson has an injury concern, but then we talked about it earlier. AVT, missed a bunch of games the last couple of years. Tippmann missed a handful of games last year, so I'm not too worried. That's kind of the normal injury thing that you see. People get what we call banged up. But Tigo, are you concerned? I mean, look, we're excited. These guys are clearly talented. Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, Mike Williams, all these talented guys, but every single one of them has a viable, legitimate injury concern. Does this taint the free agent class? Should we be as excited as we are for this group of beat up, dented cans? What do you think?
Players get hurt. Like, that's what happens. That's just the reality of the situation. And look, there is no perfect solution, especially going into an offseason where you need to replace 60% of your offensive line, right? And if I'm being honest, I was totally ready for this offensive line to be a high-priced guard coming in, Elijah Vera Tucker and Carter Warren at tackles. And that's what I was fully anticipating, because bringing in 2 tackles just seemed, replacing 60% of your offensive line just seemed so outside of the realm of possibility of what was going to happen. If fixing your O-line was so easy, why haven't the Bengals done it in 6 years? Why haven't they put an O-line in front of Joe Burrow? They got their guy.
Yeah.
Why haven't they done it? Because it's hard. And something that people, I think, need to remember is that flawless players without a concern don't hit free agency. If a player hits free agency, there's a good reason for it. whether it's an injury concern, whether it's age, there's something there that there's a reason this player hit free agency. Very rarely do you see a perfect player, a player who is at the top of his game, hasn't missed, is going to hit free agency. Just doesn't happen. So again, a guy like Tyron Smith, when healthy, and that's a key thing you're going to see with a lot of the guys on the roster that you're going to say about, when healthy, is one of the best tackles in the sport, period.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're telling me, you know what, you're going to get 13 games this year out of Tyron Smith, yeah, that's worth it, in my opinion. Now, I want to make sure that part of those 13 or 14 games are at the end of the season. But if you're telling me, like, we're going to see a run, let's say he recreates last year. He plays weeks 1 and 2, has to miss weeks 3 and 4, plays weeks 5 and 6, and then has to miss week 7, and then their bye week was in there. I take that, because that means you can start a guy like Carter Warren for a couple of games, and you can game plan around that. Because when he's in, he's dominant. Dominant. There's no other word for it.
It's true.
And so I'm willing to take that risk with a guy like that because of the upside. And so, yeah, I get it. I understand the injury concern, and I totally understand that aspect of it. But as long as, and this is a big if, right? As long as he's not missing the entire season, and it's just not like literally just throwing away money at a guy, which again, this could be whatever. We don't know. Knock on wood.
Well, and the contract is tailored in such a way, it's really quite beautiful. It's eloquent. The contract, it's like it keeps going at different percentages. As it increases, he gets more money. If he does miss the lion's share of the season, doesn't get nothing. He gives out of the lion's share of his contract.
Yep, absolutely.
Really solid guy. I was impressed when I saw how incredibly detailed that breakdown was. I mean, I don't know how many players would really agree to that. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Again, it's a large chunk of money. And here's the thing. It's a guy betting on himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I really like a lot about a lot of the contracts that we're seeing here. It's that these contracts are coming out and it's up to, and this is why I'm so curious about seeing the Mike Williams contract, because he's another guy coming off of a compounding knee injury. I believe it's the same injury that Breece Hall had, an ACL and an MCL, where it's just like, he took a contract, I hope, where he's betting on himself. Those players who are betting on themselves are more willing and more likely to push through something. Like the fact that Morgan Moses didn't call it quits last year after tearing his pec blew my mind. My mind.
Speaks to who he is.
Right? Because he's like, oh no, I don't care. Like, it's like, I remember where I never tore my pec, but I remember I did something to it, like weird and kind of like when I played football. Dude, I was out of commission for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I didn't even tear nothing. I just tweaked it a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I was done. Right. I couldn't move my hand. I was KO'd. And to see this man just 300-pound rusher, which is this one? Yeah, and just stop him.
And then still do the job. That's
it's just
yeah.
So
now let me say this, Billy, we're not saying that the Taylor Ham is why he signed. No, I don't think anybody's saying that.
They gave him the sandwich after he signed the contract.
Yeah, I don't think that's the implication. We're trying to say it's the gesture, number one, is super cool. But the fact that the gesture was received, accepted, and made it all the way to the mouth of the player. It's incredible. It's an incredible.
It happened today. Yeah, they got like 500 orders of food for Jadeveon Clowney, and none of them made it to Clowney.
Yeah.
And they tweeted out, they say, hey, like, stop.
Yeah.
Give money to charity. Do something else. It's just a cool story.
It is a cool story, and it's a unique idea. No, I mean, how many people have done that before? How many fan bases have tried that? It's unique. It's special. It worked, and it's novel. It's a cute little fun thing that happened that we get to kind of applaud one of our own. That's really what it is. I also want to say I saw a comment here. Michael Murphy said we're playing for the future, not the past with injuries. Well, I will hear that and raise you. Those who do not remember the past are doomed to repeat it. So there's that. You have to factor it in. You have to. Now, in the situation we're in with the people who are available and what we're trying to accomplish and the window that we have, I would say that in that respect, I agree with Tigo. I might be a little bit more concerned. Granted, I am a long-term old Jets fan. I've been around. This is my 42nd season watching this shit franchise. And what can go wrong we should be called the New York Murphys Law. That's what we should be called.
The New York Murphys.
The Murphys. What can go wrong will go wrong. So again, I'll knock on all my woods, but and I don't want it to happen. Every year I'm as hopeful as anyone. I get at the beginning of the season, I routinely get called a homer because I buy in. I'm excited. That's a choice I make. But I watch it every year, dude. It's like the Aaron Rodgers going down in 4 plays. I couldn't believe it. So I have concerns that pretty much none of the marquee free agents that we brought in aren't coming in here with a serious injury concern. That's my point here. I will end the poll on Boyd and Williams. The landslide. 88% agree with Tigo. Mike Williams is the way to go.
I will say this.
Are on
I will
my
say
side.
this.
Yeah.
To help you out just a little bit in your I
Oh,
don't think that we're totally done in the wide receiver market.
no,
And I don't think Tyler Boyd is off of the list either, because I don't think he's going to command that big of a contract as what he's going to be viewed at. And I'm not saying that this is what he is, even though I tend to agree. As a big slot, like as an exclusively a big slot guy, that's how he's going to be viewed. There is a good to fair chance the New York Jets can go into a negotiation and say 2 years, $13 million, $14 million, come win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Joe Burrow couldn't get it done. Come be wide receiver 3 here. Mike Williams is going to get hurt anyway. You'll be wide receiver 2 by week 3.
Yeah.
Like you could sell that, to Tyler Boyd.
Sell that.
So, especially because I assume we're going to be interested in OBJ, and OBJ is going to be in and around that $6 to $7 million.
Yeah. And would you rather have Boyd than OBJ?
I would rather have Boyd than OBJ, just because I like a big slot. I like the idea of a tall guy in the slot mismatching on a slot corner. Like that to me is a nice thing, because you can't cover a guy who's 6'2" with the slot corner, but you also can't cover him with a linebacker. So I love the idea of a big slot.
Yeah, I also like a big slot. I truly do. I like that dynamic that presents, the potential mismatches as well. I mean, I got to admit, I love a little shifty slot too. So I don't know. A slot's an interesting position. It really is. Yeah. But you gotta
be smart to play the slot. As long as you're smart, I don't care how big you are.
Yeah, and look, dude, if Tyler Boyd comes, maybe like Billy said, we can send him and Taylor Ham and make sure that he signs, because we sent him to right, Billy. We'll do that. I play. Mike Henson checking in. Thank you, sir. He says Jets try to sign OBJ $5 million guaranteed with incentives. Draft a tackle at 10, still sign Becton, sees nobody drooling over him as a free agent. I don't know if we have room for Becton unless you're pushing Max Mitchell off. I mean, if we took a tackle at 10, listen to this, Mike. I see where you're going, right? But we now have 5 starters plus Carter Warren, Max Mitchell, Jake Hansen, Wes Schweitzer. That's 9 offensive linemen. Generally speaking, that's a number that a lot of teams carry into the season. We're thinking the Jets are going to carry 10, so that leaves 1 more spot. So,
and I think the priority should be guard now.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
AVT's injury, the Achilles. This is why I was such an advocate for him at tackle, is because of the Achilles. You're going to ask Elijah Vera Tucker after an Achilles to just stop massive human beings. He's going to have to anchor, put his feet into the ground, and all of that weight is going to go right through those legs. It's all that pressure. And so for me, the priority now isn't tackle. The priority for me is, look, Jake Hanson's cool and all, and when he was asked to play, he played better than I expected. But I don't feel super confident in saying that Wes Schweitzer, Jake Hanson is going to come in if, maybe Max Mitchell can play guard or something like that. And I'm a fan of Max Mitchell. I think with an offseason where he's not worried that he's going to die, I think he can do a lot of things. But I think the whole priority has shifted on the offensive line. I think you're like, go find a guard, in my opinion. And then not even in free agency. Go get Cooper Beebe in the second. Find a way to get a second-round pick. Go get Cooper Beebe. Go get Christian Haynes. Go get Zach Zinter. I don't know. Just go get somebody who can play on the interior there. Because, worst-case scenario, you can push Tittman to guard, and you can get a center, as well. Find a center guard. Find something on the middle there.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not necessarily against that. But I agree. The fact that we signed Hanson doesn't mean that we're done.
Yeah, it should be.
But we have those guys. And look, Wes Schweitzer is a guy. What's his contract? I got to look at it because I have to admit, I don't like that player, dude. And I hate that we feel kind of locked into him.
I'm not anti-Wes Schweitzer.
I'm anti. Wes Schweitzer contract. All right. Let's see what he's got.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. All right.
He is a $1.58 million contract, $300,000 bonus. Only $500,000 is guaranteed of his contract. We would carry a dead cap hit if we cut him of $1.7 million
cuttable.
And only save $300,000. I'm not saying that it's not cuttable, but I don't think he's so bad that unless there's a clear upgrade, I don't think he's so bad that you have to cut him. I wouldn't say that he's good. That's not the word that I'm saying. And I'm not even going to, I would say passable in a pinch.
Yeah.
That would be the word that I would use. Passable in a pinch.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, Wes Schweitzer on at least 2 occasions last year was quite literally on his back. And not because someone stepped on his ankle. That's okay. You deal with that. You go, oh, shit, he got rolled. He just got bull rushed to his back. And on one of those 2 back plays that he decided to be lay down on his back, he held on top.
He tackled the guy.
He fucking pulled him. So, and I get it. Sometimes hey, dude, he's going to crush my quarterback. I'd rather take the hold. I can appreciate that mindset.
Lost this rep, but I'm going to lose this rep.
But I'm going to lose this rep. At least Zach won't get his fucking bell rung. Okay, I get it. But man, he's not a fun guy to watch. And I think that's cuttable territory, especially if you have the opportunity.
Yeah. Again, if there's an upgrade out there, that you can do that's reasonable, I would do it. But I'm also not in a hurry to replace him, if that makes sense. He's not so bad that I need to replace him, but he's not so good that I feel confident not actively looking for a replacement.
He also carries a 52.7 PFF for anybody, if anybody's interested, and he's got a 47 run blocking grade. Pretty good. Antonio Araya checking in. I say trade back to the mid-teens and get Brian Thomas. I know Brian Thomas Jr., that's Tigo's guy. There, and with the second-round pick, offensive line, Cooper Beebe, or whichever offensive tackle is available. The interesting thing about that spot is there's going to be some interesting tackles there.
Yeah.
Maybe not guys that you want to come in and you don't want to wait till that spot and have your starter day one.
Nope.
But man, are there some guys that you give them a year? They're high quality names there. So yeah,
I don't know how involved you are in the second round tackle, because I think you're still on offensive tackle round 1 team. But if you can do literally this, Antonio Araya is taking it. This is my last mock draft. Is you trade back from 10, you get into the middle teens, and you take Brian Thomas Jr.
That's right. We love Brian Thomas.
I love Brian. And in the second, I got Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle out of Houston. And that's a home run hit for me, in my opinion. Because at that point, you can tell Max, you're a guard now. Hanson, you're the center and guard replacement. Wes, see ya, or keep him around, keep 10 offensive linemen. That's cool too. And now you go into a year where I still really believe in Carter Warren. I think he's one of our tackles, not this year, but next year. He's one of our starting tackles. I believe that in my heart of hearts. And then Patrick Paul, in my opinion, and this was the evaluation I gave him. This is even when we needed a tackle. I said, he is 1 year away from being ready. That's what Patrick Paul looks like to me. He's
Patrick Paul, right? Patrick Paul's another one that we like. Look, I also like Sumatia. I like Jordan Morgan. I think is going to make it to that point. I know he might go inside, but yeah, I know. But I do like the player. I have no.
I do too. I do too.
Dom seems to think Guyton's going to go in the first. Very possible.
I agree.
I feel like he'll be there at the early second. Could be wrong, inconsequential, but I think he's one of those guys I'd lump into that category. But yeah, man, there's quite a nice crop. This is a sincerely deep tackle class, guys. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel comfortable with so many of these guys. Now that the board has opened up to where we don't need a starter, right? Now the board opens up because now you can have conversations about like Kieran. I'm not even going to try this last name. The kid out of Yale. You can have conversations about him, Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame, Dominic Pooney out of Kansas, Matt Goncalves and Christian Jones out of Pittsburgh and Texas, respectively. Like now you're looking at guys that you can get and you can say, well, we've got some wiggle room now. You know, you've got some ability to go do some stuff.
I'll tell you who I want to draft, Tigo. I want to draft. All right, this was before the combine, but
yep,
I'm all over Crum in the 7th round. All right,
I know. Oh man,
he'll be your backup for 20 years. He's never going to crack the starting lineup, but I'd like to have him on the roster. Yeah, he's an athletic freak. You know what I mean? As far as what he brings, but you want to talk about sloppy footwork, buddy? I mean, it's almost a comedy show to watch, but he's got a lot to work with. But yeah, I mean, look, Tigo, it's 9:00, man. We
already?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, man.
I want to tell you guys what we were gonna do. Is Bowers a realistic option? But we didn't get to it, Tigo. We weren't able to make it there.
30-second answer, go. Do you think Bowers is a realistic option at 10?
I do think he's a realistic option. Now, he's not necessarily my choice. But again, we still have some work to do in free agency. I'm sure we'll see some more things. Like the needles are moving, right?
Yep.
I would not be unhappy if that's what the Jets decide to do. I'm not going to be pissed. But yeah, I think he's in play, man. I think it's real.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the pick I would make at 10. This is not me saying I'm anti-Brock Bowers. I am anti-Brock Bowers at 10. If you trade back and get Brock Bowers, I'm cool with that. But at 10, my initial reaction would be, really? And then I'd be like, well, let's remember he's freaking awesome. But we couldn't do anything. We couldn't get out of this pick. And so that would be my reaction. Love the player, love the prospect, but I would be disappointed that we couldn't like trade back or try to figure something out.
Right. No, I kind of feel the same way. But look, if we shore up everything, and it's like, you really like, you look at him, you have him lumped in with like in that crop of like Odunze, Fashanu, Brian Thomas, but like that's your batch. And he's sitting there at 10. You try to get a trade back. People are offering you a 4th round pick, and you go, dude, I'm going to take the guy that's the most versatile, can do many, many things for us. And who knows, maybe it opens up some other trade options and things like that, I wouldn't hate it. Not my first choice at this current point, but I could see it, man. I could see it. Well, guys, that's our show. That's an arm. I tell you, whoops, I'm fucking with the backgrounds now. The hour thing is weird for me, dude.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't do many 1 hour shows, dude. This is like, it's bizarre. It happens. So we just get comfy and it's over.
You finally get into the groove. I'm sitting back. I'm relaxed. My brain is going and it's just like, oh no, it's time to go. Bye.
You should go live after this.
I might.
You might just go, maybe Tigo goes live after this. Everybody can continue the conversation. But look, we want to thank you guys for being here. I want to remind you two things. One is that Matt O'Leary and Jets Chaos tomorrow right here on Talking Jets at 3 p.m., the reality check where they deconstruct some of the rumors going around there. Are they viable? Are they complete bullshit? What's the source? Where does this information come from? And it's a great conversation, and they have a great dynamic. So check into that show at 3 p.m. tomorrow right here. And don't forget about the Talkin' Jets Draft Party, April 25th, up there in Farmingdale, Long Island. 3 hours of open bar, 3 hours of all-you-can-eat buffet, live crowd cams, free merch, and amazing giveaways, including free Jets tickets and free Tailgate Joe tailgating packages. So, I mean, really, really solid raffle items that we're going to be giving away. We hope you can all join us. If you can't, for whatever reason, we're still going to be live streaming it right here on Talking Jets like we do every year, Matt, Ryan, and myself. But, guys, thank you for checking in. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Don't forget to support Tigo on his channel. The link is in the description. And subscribe to this channel right here, if you'd be so kind. It's greatly appreciated. With that all said, have a great night, everybody. We will see you next time.